Alright. I had a nice little video made and everything, and then my computer goofed up and ruined the file, so let's start this again. Alright, I gotta teach you motherfuckers how to scan and use Tripwire. So boom, log into Tripwire account. Oh no, my fucking details, man. I want that shit to remember me. Alright, I'm not gonna teach you how to make an account on Tripwire. It's pretty self-explanatory. But once you make it, cloak my damn ship up here. Well, once you make it, first things you want to do, first of all, make sure that the website is trusted. To do that, options, trusted sites, add it from there. It's kind of important. Other than that, you always want to open this in-game. It works out of game, but if you're going to do any scanning or anything, you want it in-game, 100%. First thing, you're going to want to click the cogwheel at the top right next to your name. Account settings. You want to scroll down. This is going to be for ArtCorp only, of course, but you want to select Hot Boys as the mask. Once you do that, you hit save. Oh, you're only going to see that if you register an account with somebody with using an API key of your main account in the Corp. So don't register your alts. You can use the same login for your alts, like I'm doing with my alt, but it's registered under my main. It's not a big deal. You can use the same login on 2 characters, 3 characters, 4 characters. Not a big deal. Okay. So let's get into this. First thing you want to do, when Tripwire is up, other than select your mask, which I just showed you, you want to go up to the top of the screen here, and next to the current system, it'll have a little fast forward looking icon. You want to click that so it turns orange, and that'll follow your in-game system. And what that means is whenever you jump system, jump through a wormhole, jump through a gate, whatever, it'll update the website and change you to the fucking info for your system, not the system you were in when you opened Tripwire. And then you're going to want to find the signature window, which will be this, the one in the middle here, the bottom middle. You want to click the little A to toggle auto mapper on, which is important for copying and pasting and whatnot. So first thing we want to do when you're scanning, oh, another cool trick, I use this a lot, I use this every time actually, is double clicking the tops of your windows. What that'll do is kind of minimize it without putting it down in your taskbar thing or your Neocom. So you can have it up at all times. When you need to see it again, boom, double click away. Easy as fuck. Love it. Alright, so we need to scan down these signatures, right? First thing you want to do is make sure you only have Cosmic Signature selected. We don't want to have all these anomalies being pasted in here all fucking willy-nilly and looking like ass. Bunch of shit we don't care about. So only Cosmic Signatures is what we're interested in. First thing you want to do, pop open your probe scanner, and you want to select all. So Control A. I would click first, I guess. Click first, so you have one selected. Control A, Control C. That'll get it selected all and copied. And you want to crack back into Tripwire here, and you want to Control V, which is paste, and you'll get a pop-up that says Paste Detected. Click to delete missing signatures. Boom. You'll click that. If any of these signatures in Tripwire don't exist anymore, it'll delete them automatically and replace them with the ones that do exist. Sometimes you might mess up. There might be a glitch with the website, something like that. Like for instance, if you jump through a gate and your website doesn't update to that new information that fast, and you get excited and just paste the new signatures from that system really quickly into Tripwire, and boom, suddenly you've overwritten the signatures from the previous system, which is a big fuck up, right? Not to worry, there is an undo signature change button down here, as well as a redo signature change button, in case you fuck up on undoing it and need to redo it. So that's good to know. As you can see, we already have all these things scanned down as I was making the previous video that got corrupted. We've already got one marked here. Let's go ahead and scan down the next one, or the others. Decloak. Drop my probes and recloak. On your probe scanner at the top right, there's a solar system map. Click that to easily get to your probe map. The first thing you want to do is there's a button called Launch Pinpoint Formation. That's going to be you're going to want to click that. It's going to be your default sort of go-to scanning position. I've got another one, which is a cube setup, but I rarely use that. But it is pretty good. But we're not going to cover that in this video. So, some tips and tricks. You could double click on celestials to easily lock onto them, which makes it kind of easier to maneuver around and zoom in and out and all that jazz. You can also double click the probes on your probe scanner to zoom in there or to lock onto them. You can also double click the boxes and arms on the interface here to do the same thing. I find it's easier typically to double click them on the probe scanner. That way you don't accidentally flick your probe somewhere or whatever. All right. So we've got 2 wormholes in a site, right? I'll show you how we do this. You'll see these big red blobs. That's the general that's a general location of where the signature is. But if you notice something like this, let me move this out of the way so you can see it better. You notice something like this big red circle right here, right? You'll want to put your probes in the center of it, right? But you can skip at least 1 or 2 scans by noticing that, or by knowing rather, that signatures don't spawn randomly. Like they don't spawn over here or over here or anything like that. They always spawn near celestials, specifically planets. So we know it's not going to be here. We know it's not going to be near this. We know it's not going to be near this gate, right? But we do know that it's overlapping heavily with this shit over here. So what we'll do is we'll move this motherfucker, get it all nice and positioned here. It doesn't have to be perfect by any means, but we'll leave it at the default size and hit analyze. And then we wait. All right, so you can see we narrowed it down to this little dot up here, right? What you can do is you can double click that thing on the entry on the cosmic signature list, and it'll get you locked right onto it, which makes it easier to reposition your probes on top of it, which is what you're going to want to do. It doesn't have to be perfect again, but since it's a red like that and not orange or green, I would say do not resize your probes typically, and then just hit analyze again. We want to get it narrowed down to the orange or green range before we start resizing. Boom, wormhole, and it's orange as you see there. So we're going to want to start resizing. You can resize easily on the new map by holding Alt and using your mouse scroll wheel. I fucking love being able to do this like that. I'm going to resize, let's see, default size is this, right? So I'm going to resize it at least 2 steps because it's a wormhole, it's pretty easy to scan down. Let's get it repositioned and hit analyze again. Alright, so normally we would just right click, save location, wormhole, blah blah blah, right? But we don't want to do that for wormholes. It's a terrible idea to do that for wormholes. And I'll show you why. So let's go ahead and warp to the wormhole. Actually, let's save this thing. Let's call this I'm an asshole for doing this. Boom. Give you an idea of what's going on here. Alright, as you see when we land here, let me zoom out a bit. This, what I'm circling with my mouse cursor, is the wormhole. This what's bookmarked here next to my ship is the signature. The problem is, if you bookmark the signature and not the wormhole, you're going to end up landing, or your fleet's going to end up landing way over here. Normally, you'll sometimes land safely and you'll be able to still be within jump range, but as you can see here, I landed 9K away, which is far, like 4K away from the jump range, right? That's pretty shit. Like if you're trying to go catch someone really quick, or you're trying to run, or you're trying to do anything, right? Anything that requires you to use that wormhole, you're going to be fucked, and your court mates are going to hate you, and they're going to call you a dick, which is why I named the bookmark "I'm an asshole for doing this." Obviously, we can go ahead and remove this bookmark. So every time you scan down a wormhole, warp to it. You'll want to check out the center of it. So what do you do when you need to bookmark a wormhole? What do I name it? You know, how do I not be a lazy asshole with this? How do I know what the hell I'm doing so my court mates don't think I'm a piece of shit, right? So first thing, might be kind of hard to tell because we're in Mimitar space, but you'll notice there's two different parts of the wormhole. You've got like the little center anus thing of it, right? And that will tell you the kind of space you're going to go into. You really don't have to pay attention to that unless you know it's like a low sec connection or a high sec connection. It'll be blue if it goes to Caldari space. It'll be kind of a greenish color if it goes to Galente space. It'll be a reddish color if it goes to Mimitar space, and it'll be a yellow color if it goes to Amar space. So let's say this is, oh well, forget that for now. But understand the different colors will kind of tell you where the space goes. And then on the outside, you have this kind of yellow aura to it, which immediately tells me that it's an extra large wormhole. And if I show info on it, it says this wormhole leads into null security space, so it goes to nullsec. This wormhole is reaching the end of its natural lifetime, which means it's got less than 4 hours left. I assume it's probably got an hour or so left, but as soon as it goes end of life, or EOL, that means it's got about 4 hours left on its lifetime. It says this wormhole has not had its stability significantly disrupted by ships passing through it. What that means is wormholes have mass limits depending on their sizes, and you can disrupt the mass of the wormhole by sending ships back and forth through it. Like the bigger the mass of the ship, the more disruption you'll do on the wormhole, right? This is also what restricts ships from going into smaller wormholes. So you've got like small, medium, large, and extra large wormholes. Extra large caps and below can go through, large battleships and below can go through, medium battle cruisers and below can go through, and small is only for like destroyers and below. So what do we do now? We know this information here, right? Well, first things first, we've got on the overview it says wormhole S199. So what are we going to do with that information? We know this is the YSV signature. So we find YSV, we'll plug in S1, and it says it automatically completes S199. And that'll automatically tell it it's a null as well. But please do this so I don't go crazy. It's already been explored, so we know it's GG-TAC5Q, or GGE-TAC5Q. But typically you won't know the system when you're scanning, right? But we know it's a null sec, so here's how we'll mark this. Start with a period because it's going away from our home system, and then we wouldn't know where it was going, but we know it's a known space connection. So like null, high sec, low sec. So we'll put question marks because we don't know the name of the system yet, and then we'll put brackets YSV because that's the signature, and then we'll call it null because it goes to nullsec, and then X because it's an extra large wormhole. Boom. But as you can see, we already know what this is or where it goes. So boom, GGE-TAC5Q. We can edit the bookmark, paste that in over the question marks, and boom, it shows up. But it's also end of life, right? So you want to make sure that's noted in the bookmark, EOL. So when people right-click in space, like, oh, EOL, well, I don't really want to fuck with that wormhole, right? Because I don't want that collapsing while I'm fucking around. And then once you have that bookmarked, you want to continue scanning out the rest of the system before you delve into the wormholes. But once you're finished scanning through the system, you're going to want to copy everything in the probe scanner, paste it, and that'll automatically update Tripwire with all the information you found. And then once you've done that, once you have all the things marked with bookmarks, then you can go into the wormholes and start bookmarking the insides as well. And I will show you how to do that, but I'm not going to fuck around with these EOL wormholes. So let's go back to Kern. Find some wormholes that are more cooperative. Also, if you're curious about the naming system on how we name stuff, it can be a little bit confusing at first, but it all makes sense pretty quickly. On the main corp, let's see if I can bring that up. On the main corp, if you crack open the corporation section and go to Home, Bulletins, I've got this whole section that goes through the naming convention we use for our bookmarks and how it works and why we name stuff like that, etc., etc. So boom, we're back in Kern. Let's copy the SIGs, see if there's anything new here. Wait for this to update. Looks like we've got a new signature here. If you can tell, I bring up the right-click menu. We've got www, which we see here. We've got AUQ, which we see here. But if you notice on Tripwire, well, none of these have been marked, so that's always good. Let's fix that. www. Boom. Alright, so let's scan down JUR. Decloak, orbit the gate at a safe distance, about 2500 to 2100. So close enough to jump, not close enough to get decloaked. Drop your probes. And since we've got everything scanned except JUR, you want to right click JUR and hit ignore other results. That'll get rid of everything that we don't need to worry about. Start bringing our probes over, kind of get that lined up. It's a whole mess of kind of stuff in there, so I'm just gonna YOLO and hit analyze. It's a data site, how exciting. Got it down to orange, so I'm just going to resize my probes down quite a bit. Alright, we found out what it is, so we're going to copy, paste it into Tripwire. We don't want to delete missing signatures here because we're only selecting one thing. We don't want it deleting things we've already know are still there. We're only updating JUR, so we don't need to delete anything else. It says Blood Raider Data Fortress, right? Okay, cool. So from there we'll pull our probes, start reloading our probe launcher, and we want to right-click this, save it, make sure it's under Sites. Typically, Cal is a lazy piece of shit, and we'll just leave this as it is and make a big old mess. Let's see what that looks like. So let's see. JUR, boom. Oops, sorry, it's a data site, so let's put a D there and hit submit. Go ahead and cloak now that we're reloaded. Now look what this looks like in the menu. It's just a mess, like regional blood right? It's crap, right? It's bullshit. So what I like to do is I like to take the full name of it, put it in the notes. That way if you're hovering over it in space, let's see. Well, I'll show you. That way you're hovering over it in space, it'll show the full name below it on your tooltip. So you'll kind of get an idea. but it won't leave the bookmark messy. So, Regional Blood Raider Data Fortress. Well, that's a lot of fucking redundancies. You can delete everything except for Fortress because it's D for Data Fortress. Data Fortress, good to go, right? Submit. Let's align to it and you'll kind of see what I'm talking about here. See, it might be hard to see there. It says D Jur Fortress and under it says Regional Blood Raider Data Fortress. It's kind of nice. Let's go ahead and move on to Oyanoda. See if we can't find some more wormholes. It looks like some people left drones on the gate. Let's let people know that they need to pick those up. Alright, so we've got 3 SIGs in here. All we do is select them all, copy them, bring up Tripwire, hit paste. Make sure we're in Oyo, right? There we go. Paste. Oh, our thing was messed up earlier. I guess that's what was going on. Sometimes it lags like that. There we go. Back in Oyo. Of course it'll fuck up now that I'm making a video about it. Go ahead and start scanning some shit down here. Again, we've got overlapping red circles near planets, so we're going to put our probes on the planets at the default distance. Just and hit analyze. Sometimes I update them prematurely, but it's whatever. So let's see. We've got the wormhole. Like the first thing we're scanning down is the wormhole, right? As David Stanley leaves my fucking channel and ruins my video. So we want to get the wormhole scanned down first. So we just select it right here, so it prioritizes this and doesn't show any of the 2 other signatures. We'll just want to reposition and resize our probes a bit, and hit analyze. Boom, got the wormhole, gonna warp to it. Warp drive. Because we always want to warp to it instead of just marking it like an asshole. Gonna kind of YOLO a small one on that. Let's see if I get it. Alright, here's an interesting one. So we landed here. Immediately we can tell it goes to Caldari space. There's blue, right? And there's an extra large, it's an extra large because of the halo around it. So let's check our info here. See, it goes to low sec. Beginning to decay and probably won't last another day. That's typically what you'll see. That means it's got about 24 hours left. This wormhole has not had its stability significantly reduced. Means no one's been penetrating it a lot. Very large ships can pass through this wormhole. Cool. I'm just going to update Tripwire here a little bit, even though it's not that important we do it right away. We know it's a K162. What does K162 mean? It essentially means nothing, right? but it tells you that this wormhole did not spawn in the system you're in. It spawned from the other side. It's not super important in low sec and all that, but it's a good thing to know, right? So what we'll do, it's K162, so we'll double click our signature in Tripwire. Type, I'll just put a K and automatically auto completes to K162. Save, good. So we don't know where this goes, right? So let's mark it. It goes, it's a period because it's going away from our home system. Question marks because we have no idea what system it is. EKN is the signature, and it goes to low sec, and it's extra large. So normally, if that was the only thing there, we'd jump right through and see what's going on. But since we have more signatures to scan down, we're going to continue doing that first, because if you jump through the wormhole, you'll lose all your data, all your probe data. So we don't want to fuck with that. All right, there's a new signature there. Let's mark that. It's a relic site. Again, it's got a big ass name, so we're going to cut that shit down. Delete that shit off. It's a relic, so it's got an R. PDL is the sig. Lone vessel, boom, easy mode, right? We can ignore that signature, don't care about it anymore. Let's move this shit over here. Analyze. Wow, we got that one shot.
Disconnected from your channel.
Good, right? Fucking, I should have moved channel, shouldn't I? What a piece of shit I am. Alright, Rogue Trial Yard. Pretty garbage combat site. It's a combat site nonetheless. Someone might try to do it. Typically, when I rename these things, you know it says Rogue Trial Yard. Rogue stands for Rogue Drones. Doesn't matter, right? So usually cut that shit out, but keep it in the notes. So, RIM. I like that signature. Everything's scanned down, so I'm going to pull my drones. I'm going to decloak, reload those bitches. Make sure everything in Tripwire is good to go. As soon as these are reloaded, I'm just going to jump
disconnected from your channel.
Fuck me. I'm going to just move. What am I doing with my life, right? Let me just mute TeamSpeak. Fuck. So this didn't happen in my original video. I didn't figure I would need to fuck with it either. Sloppy as hell. Alright, that's taken care of. Let me go ahead and jump through the wormhole. We'll see what's going on. Hikoken. I know that system. Awesome. Oh, cool. Good opportunities here. Alright. So first thing you want to do when you jump in is you want to copy everything in your probe scanner, paste that shit in there, right? So, now that everything's in there, there's a few things we can do. First thing we want to do is orbit at a safe distance on the wormhole and cloak up. You'll notice on your overview it says wormhole N944. So we're going to crack this open in here. We don't know the ID yet, but we know it's N944 going back to Oyenoda. Second thing you want to do is mark the wormhole. So it's going back towards home, so we put an asterisk so that it'll show up top in the list when we right click. And we know it goes to Oyenoda, so Oyenoda. We don't know the signature, so leave question marks in there. We know it's low sec, and we know it's extra large. As you see, I accidentally put that under sites. To easily remedy that, just edit the bookmark, go to wormholes, and hit submit. That won't duplicate it, it'll just move it, which is really nice. When you're doing a lot of scanning and shit, you'll run into that a lot where you'll fuck up like that because you'll just be droning through the sites and just be like, oh shit, I put wormholes in sites or I put sites in wormholes. It's not a big deal. So, an interesting thing to note, you won't find this all the time, but if you notice in my probe scanner, we are 0.26 AU from the WST signature. Well, what the fuck does that mean? Well, that typically means that this wormhole, since we're so close to a signature, will probably be WST. Let's check it out. decloak and drop probes. Let's ignore other results other than WST, right? Let's cloak up and find where we currently are, which is the little crosshair. And put it on there, right? Let's narrow that shit down. Put it as small as we can and hit analyze. Gotta hate the new map and how it looks kind of funky like that. It's hard to narrow shit down sometimes. Boom, I was right, WST. Okay, you can't always do that, but it's a good little trick sometimes. So you can just go in here in Tripwire, edit this, type in WST. It'll say, wait, that already exists, man. I'm like, fuck you, dude, I know what I'm doing. Overwrite. And boom, there you go. Fixed, right? Cool stuff. Go ahead and pull my probe so I don't care about really scanning anything down in this low sec. Close my window. Wait for my probes to reload and then we'll jump back through to Oyenoto. Oh, also edit the bookmark. WST. It's important to know the signatures for known space connections more so than lowsec, I find, because well, if you live in lowsec anyway, because let's see, this is Hoboken, right? So that's basically a shortcut to JITA from where we live. So on the alt corp, if you're warping an alt down here with a hauler, right, and it's been like hours, right? You never know, this thing might have collapsed. You can, your alt jumps in system. You don't want to just blindly warp to a bookmark and not know it's there. So you can crack open the probe scanner, see if WST is still there. If it's not, you're kind of boned, but you're not as boned as you might have been. And you can just peace out. So it's kind of nice to check that. That's basically it. Everything else is pretty much covered in the bulletins, as I showed earlier. You can access those easily. Also, if you have any questions, feel free to ask as well. And that's it, man. I won't waste any more of those precious internet moments.